So today I'm doing something a little differently, something I'm really passionate about, and I've been waiting a long time to talk about it because I've been waiting to get to this point. I didn't want to sound like a bumbling idiot when I was talking about this, so of course I had to wait until I knew enough about it to, give you guys this helpful information. By the way, I'm sorry about the background noise. The only way that I can keep my kids quiet is to turn on the TV, so that's what I had to do today. So I'm going to start by telling you guys about my journey in learning a new language, and then I'm going to give you some tools to kind of help you begin, and we'll take it from there. When I first started learning, I went and bought a French. I learned French first. I went and bought a French dictionary, like a book from English to French, and it was so difficult because I never knew what I was looking for, and it didn't help me at all. And then I bought a French book, a children's book, and I started learning there because I was like, surely I can, pick up a few words, because I'd been studying vocabulary, and I thought, okay, I can put two and two together and I'll start learning. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. My advice to you is to, download an app. And by the way, everything that I'm telling you today is going to be completely free. You're not going to, with today's technology, you shouldn't have to spend $1. You can go to used bookstores and find French books or Spanish books or Japanese or whatever you need, buy them really cheap. Aside from that, you shouldn't have to spend any money at all. You might even be able to find stuff like that at the library, depending on where you live. But with my journey, so I started trying to read books and, studying certain words, but really that wasn't helpful at all. What was most helpful was actually the apps, Duolingo, Memrise, Linguist. Actually, hold on. Okay, so I have about 5 different apps that I actually use. I'm not sure if you guys can see these, but okay, so Duolingo is probably the best one for vocabulary and putting words together. If you're interested in learning Arabic or Mandarin Chinese or something like that, you probably won't be able to use Duolingo. They only offer, I think, English, French, Portuguese, Swedish, and a few others. But if you're learning one of those, please try Duolingo. Duolingo is great. You will be surprised how much you learn. It's very effective. You'll learn how to conjugate different words. You'll learn sentence structure, but most of all, the most important thing about Duolingo is new vocabulary all the time, how to use the word in a sentence. It's great. So the next one I want to talk about is busuu, I guess. Busuu is really great because it'll also help you learn new words, but once you learn those words, it will actually make you write. Let's see. This one also offers things like Chinese. It will make you write in the format that you've just learned in. So say you've learned a new set of 5 words, it'll make you use those 5 words in a sentence or a little paragraph, and then someone will critique it for you, which is really neat. By the way, guys, I don't work for any of these companies. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I do want to mention that with busuu, there's only parts that you can use. Some of it you might have to pay for, but some of it's free, and the free parts are very, very helpful. I've never paid for anything, so I can't tell you any of that. Okay, so let's move on. So the next one is called Linguist, and it looks like this white one here. This one is by far one of my favorites because it doesn't start you off with a simple word like apple. You might learn apple, but then you might learn a verb, and this is what it looks like. And then once you have memorized the word, it'll give you a reading list, so you can read some of the words that you've just learned in a dialogue. And then once you've done that, you go to listen, and you'll just listen to people reading you things that you just learned, which is really neat. So that's key. You always want to, once you have gotten a good amount of vocabulary and conjugation and things like that down, then you must read, write, and listen, because you can't say, yes, I can really speak this language out without being able to also read it and write it and understand it when you hear it. So, that's very, very important. Yes, the apps are great. Yes, they're helpful. But you also need other materials as well. You can get on the internet and you can search YouTube videos for how to speak this language, and you'll find a lesson, how to conjugate certain things, or, just a video of people just speaking the language. And that is even helpful. Whether you realize it or not, you are learning something. Okay, so let's move on to Memrise. Memrise is a really great app. It's changed recently. I still like the format, but not as much as I did. But it's still really cool. Okay, so I've got different things in here like advanced French, kanji, introductory Chinese, because I just started trying to learn Chinese. So this one's really great because it's got all kinds of different types of languages. As far as Japanese, it doesn't have, well, it might, but all I saw of Japanese was kanji writing. I haven't actually started it yet, I just downloaded it. But it has a lot of different options on Memrise, and I will put a link below to all of these different things. And yeah, I hope you guys like those apps. So let's move on from apps and let's talk about hours and different languages. So, depending on the language that you want to learn, it's going to take a different amount of time. So if you want to learn a language like, if you're a native English speaker and you want to learn Spanish, French, German, Italian, anything like that, it's going to take you about 400 to 500, maybe 600 hours, depending on how many hours a day you work. So if you work about 2 hours a day, it should take you about 5 months to be proficient in a language. But that is very, very serious. You have to do it every single day. You have to cram. I mean, you got to be serious about it. You have to really enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, and if you're just doing it to pass a class, you probably won't learn as quickly as if you were enjoying it. This is why I started with French, because I took Spanish in high school and in college, and I don't remember hardly anything because I took it because that's usually what was expected for us to take Spanish, and I didn't learn anything. But learning French and doing it every day on my own time and really just enjoying myself, I've learned at a much quicker rate. My pronunciation is better, I can read better, and I've probably spent less time on French on my own than I did learning Spanish in a classroom setting. Personally, I find it much easier to teach myself rather than sitting in a classroom and having someone drill vocabulary in your head. I just don't think it's effective. So teaching yourself and enjoying yourself is definitely a key role in learning any language. So last thing I want to talk about is books. You don't want to stick to just one app or, just reading one book. You want to make sure that when you're learning your language, not only are you learning, slang and words and learning how to talk like a local or whatever, but you also want to be grammatically correct, which means that you need structure. You need a big pile of books. So, with everything that you take to learn a language, whether it be an app, a book, reading a newspaper article online, watching an informative video, or watching a fun video, or, studying this book, which teaches you about how to use a word conjugation, stuff like that. You will learn something different with every single thing that you do. So, you want to break down what you do every day. Every day you want to, fit in 20 minutes of vocabulary, for example, 20 minutes of just reading, 30 minutes of listening, and 20 minutes of pronunciation, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You just need to allot an amount of time to each category of learning a language. You have to make sure that you're doing that, otherwise you're going to be lacking in an area and it's not going to be as effective. The last thing that I wanted to show you isn't necessary. In fact, it's not helpful in learning a language at all. Personally, I do it for my own benefit. I think it's pretty neat, and I just started doing it, but I saw another guy doing this, and I just thought it was a really good idea, so I started logging the amount of time that I study my languages. So here I've written French, and then yesterday I studied 30 minutes on the vocab app, which is Duolingo. And then today I did an hour of vocabulary and reading, which I should have been more specific about the time I did each one of those. So then over here, Chinese Mandarin, yesterday I did an hour of studying. 20 minutes I practiced tones of Chinese, and 40 minutes I was just learning vocabulary. And I haven't finished that study session today, so I haven't logged it yet, but I just thought it would be neat for when I become fluent that I can come back to my little journal and be like, wow, I spent a lot of time on that. I did a good job. I'm proud of myself. This is how long it took me, it's just for my own personal benefit. Learning a language is hard. It's hard work. It takes dedication, tons of effort, tons of time, but it is 100% worth it all the same. Personally, I enjoy taking the time to learn. I enjoy learning. I enjoy talking to people, even if it's not very well. I enjoy it. So my advice to you guys is just don't give up. You will learn. Even though it seems like it takes a long time, you will learn. You will, absolutely. Don't give up. I would start with a language like Spanish or French or German or Italian or something like that. If you just want to learn one language and it happens to be Japanese, do that. But dive in, do it every single day for as long as you can. Instead of watching 2 hours of TV, allot that time to studying your language. And the more you study each day, the quicker you're going to learn. If you study 30 minutes a day, it's going to take you a lot longer. If you've got the time, study. If you're on your lunch break at work, get on your little app and study. That's 30 minutes that you've gotten in that day that you've allotted to your language, and that's the more, you've learned. Some people ask, can you learn more than one language at a time? I think the answer is yes, you can. I am still, even though I'm pretty good in French, I still study every day because I don't want to forget anything, and, I just want to speak French as best I can. So when I first started studying French, I was like, well, I should probably start studying Spanish too, because, I don't remember a single bit of it. But that didn't really work out, honestly, because sometimes the words are so similar that when I was studying Spanish, I would pronounce it in a French accent, and vice versa, because like I said, the words are very similar. So, I wouldn't recommend that, but as far as studying like Spanish with Japanese, you're totally fine because they're not similar at all, and there's no way you can get it confused. So why not, right? So if you've got the time, study as many languages as you want. Personally, I haven't gotten tired of it yet, so anyways guys, so I'll put all the links in the bottom, and I wish you the best of luck. Please let me know how you're doing, how long it took you, where you learned, yada yada. I want to know everything. I love it. Okay, so good luck. Bye.